Hi, I'm Harry. I just completed my placement year at Integron for the year 2024-25. So what I enjoyed most about my placement year would initially be the way they structured the sort of the training and the approach to giving you teaching and giving you experience. It starts off with gaining a base understanding of how sort of the things they do work. So you get an understanding of the type of contracts you'll be interacting with, sort of more sit down sessions. But then very quickly it moves into learning on the job, and I think that's very valuable, especially for a student, because you get treated not just like an intern but like a colleague, and it really gives you a sense of sort of being part of the team rather than just being there with them, which is really rewarding actually, because you do get a lot of input, you do get a lot of say, and with working on live work very quickly, you get a lot of responsibility, and you're really asked about your opinion, and you get to share what you think, and it's a great way to develop these kind of skills of communication, and sort of being in that environment, which I'll sort of go on to a bit later. And I would say also, it sounds cliche, but the people you meet, everyone there is so lovely. There's interaction across all the different business units. There's no sort of pressure of hierarchy. Everyone's there to talk. Anyone's there to answer a question, and I think it's a really great place to learn, because there's so much to pull from so many different people with so much different experience and so many sort of different experts there. The main skills I developed during my placement, of course, I would say, sort of organization, time management, these sort of buzzwords. But a big thing for me was my sort of commercial understanding. And again, it's probably another buzzword, but it's just not something I think you can be taught. And from speaking with different professionals, you can't just learn it in a book or learn it in a lecture. You really have to be in the environment with these people, working with clients, talking with members in the business, different business units, and you get a real understanding of how the commercial world works. And then you start to, once you sort of progress and you're further into your internship, there's a lot more commercial consideration going into your work, and I think it will really pull forward and be a very valuable skill in the future for me when I'm sort of working in these sort of commercial spheres. And a really big skill that I learned was AI skills. So obviously, it's a big talk at the moment. It's going to continue being a big talking point. Where does AI land in the legal sphere? How do we use it? Where does it pull away work, bring work? And I think being at the front end of this and pushing this drive and this technology into the legal sphere is incredibly valuable. And the work that we do at Integron, that I was doing Integron with AI, it's very much it's very new. So I came in not knowing a whole heap, but there's so much that they teach you, and now I feel incredibly grateful, but also knowledgeable about how to build an AI model, how to prompt an AI. These skills that they're not just law specific, they translate into every different sector. So whether you decide after your placement, okay, maybe I want to go into law, or I don't want to go into law, or I want to do anything, there's so much value you can learn from learning these skills. And like I said, learning how to structure a prompt, it's not just a legal prompt, it's any kind of prompt. It's giving you the most out of the AI tools, and with the sort of partnerships that Integron has with different AI companies, and also their own sort of training and expertise in the area, you get a lot from that. There's a lot of skills to be learned, and these are skills that I'm going to be bringing with me through the rest of my career, hopefully. And reflecting now about sort of how I see the legal practice from my placement year, I just think that before I thought the law was sort of, it had its own place, but now I realize that it's everywhere, especially doing sort of contracts in a commercial sphere. There aren't too many industries. Well, I mean, I can't think of any that have no contracts, or you're not working with contracts. So it really shows you how many industries, how many sectors, and how much input the law has, and a lawyer can have, and anyone at Integron can have in all these different areas. And it gives you great exposure, I think, sort of commercially, going back to that commercial awareness, because you just learn about so many different industries. And the skills that I've developed during my workplace that I'm going to bring into my fourth year at uni, I'd say the biggest one for me would definitely be just getting stuck in. I think it's something I learned very early on at Integron, was the more I put in, the more I got out. And this can look like, asking questions, talking to people, spending time really trying to understand what it is that you're doing and what you're talking about, what you're learning about. and that translates directly to university. You know, if you interact with your lecturers, you're talking with your tutors, you're reading the material, you're doing wider reading, you get such a great understanding of what it is that you're there talking about and doing. And I think that's going to, you know, really give me a much better experience in my fourth year of university. And also, you know, the idea of being more efficient with my time, managing my time, not wasting time, you know, doing a little bit often really does accumulate and build. And I think that's especially at university, you know, when we're looking at exams and stuff, and even in the even in my placement, the more I did consistently, sort of the more I got out of the work, whether that was knowledge, whether that was experience, it was all very valuable to me. And so the final question is how do my placement help me consider my career path? I'm still not entirely sure what I want to do, if I'm being honest. But I do know there's things that I'd like to do from this sort of experience and experiences at work that I want to bring with me. So I definitely know that I want to be working in a commercial environment where I'm talking with the clients and getting constant interaction in this sort of environment. And with that, you know, I want there to be a lot of variety. The great thing about Integron is that you are working with so many different sectors and you meet so many different people and you're talking to so many different minds and so many different ideas going around, and you really meet loads of really interesting, very cool people. And I have to say, you know, with the amount of work I did with AI, I'd love to do something that has some sort of AI within it, whether that's just on the side, whether that's the main thing. I'm not sure. But with the skills that I've developed with regards to AI, I definitely would like to do something that has an element of AI to it, sort of pushing towards the future of, you know, what work looks like and how we can use this to sort of better and streamline efficiencies and achieve more with the time that we have.